Hi everybody, SrSpookfest here. What's up everybody? Happy Thursday. Cheers. I'm just going to read some more stories and hang out and do a little bit of a live. It's 96 degrees out. Probably feels like 100 and, I don't know, 102. But yeah, too hot for me to go play outside. So I figured I would just do this. If anybody shows up or not, whatever. Happy Thursday. So I have some good things planned coming up. Um, Next week I'll be up in Bridgewater Triangle, my hometown. I will be doing Bridgewater Triangle area and some cool locations. And I actually was looking through my magazine of different stories and I found one about Bridgewater Triangle. So I figured I might read that one. There's a couple other ones in here that I want to read if I can find it. But I am just hanging out. It's too hot outside to go play. But cheers, happy Thursday. What's going on? I did get these for a special occasion. Hey, Adrian. Thanks for coming. Yes, these are real. Cheers. I can't keep them in, they fall out. Yeah, kids are taking a nap and it's 97 degrees out, so I'm not going to play outside right now. But I am planning later on, I'll probably go do a sky watch at the beach or something. See if I can see any weird lights. I have a lot of foggy skies or hazy. The fires in Canada, the smoke has actually come all the way down to Virginia. Should I try and read a story like that? Yeah, so next week going up to the Bridgewater Triangle in Massachusetts, my hometown, and I've had many experiences. I've caught a lot of things on camera there, and I was reading through and I didn't realize, but this one has a whole thing on the Bridgewater Triangle from Massachusetts, so I figured I'd read that. There's a couple other stories in here that I'm probably going to read. One that's near here or has to do with Edgar Allan Poe. And then there was one more. I can't remember. I read the Marfa Lights one. Oh, this one. The Building of Coral Castle. If you've never heard of this one, Coral Castle in Florida, really cool. I definitely, I plan on visiting this place, and it is still a mystery. Some of it's been solved, but this one guy built all this huge megalithic stuff by himself, which I thought was amazing. But since next week I'm going up to Bridgewater Triangle in Massachusetts, I'm going to be reading the Bridgewater Triangle story out of this magazine. I don't know if they have any different info, but I can at least once we read that, I'll tell you some of my experiences and some of the videos I have from up in the Bridgewater Triangle. So I have at least three spots that I'm definitely going to go when I get up to the triangle. I'm going to do, I think it's the Perrin family and the Fuller family or something. These witches that got hung at the witching tree. I want to get back there. Um, of course, abandoned 1786 house, some haunted other locations. I might even go over to the Native American burial mounds. And I keep thinking about Oliver House in Middleborough. That one is, yeah, Jason Hawes, other teams. A lot of teams have gone in there and done it. I don't think you can go in the house anymore. I think they shut it down for, tourism or whatever. Like, you can't go ghost hunt there anymore. But I used to live right down the street from Oliver House, and they found Native American burial mounds along the driveway. Lots of cool haunted history there. And I went there one day. I couldn't go in, but definitely could feel. There's, I think there's a graveyard out behind that house too, and it's not just a graveyard. There's burial mounds, which has always interested me. I've had weird experiences in the triangle of spook lights and. All right, let's turn that down, and I'll read you this little piece of Bridgewater Triangle. This is a very small part of what's actually going on because there's way more than this, but the land equivalent to the infamous Bermuda Triangle uh, is the Bridgewater Triangle, around 200 square miles of area in the southwestern part of Massachusetts. It sits between Abington, Freetown, and Rehoboth. Now, I've been to Rehoboth, Abington, Freetown. I've gone to almost all the big spots. There are still a few spots in the Bridgewater Triangle that I want to get to. And then there's spots that people, only locals, will know about. Mill Road or Red Mill Road. That's an old fire lane and it cuts through the woods. That is many of my friends partying out there in the woods when we were young, having, too young to be drinking, but you go out there, you get a kegger going and start a fire and have fun. And then something weird happens. There's like 100 stories like that from my friends. So the 200 square mile swath, Abington, Freetown, and Rehoboth, it's a magnet for the paranormal, and it's all ranging from paranormal activity to UFOs to supernatural humanoids or even non-human or non-native animals sightings in the area. Now, this is all very true. I've had experiences with it, so I don't know that a lot of people actually understand how active it is. The people that live there know about it, but I don't think it's really talked about too much either. It's kind of like that movie It, where people know about it, but don't want to really talk about it because, the stigma of it. And, like, yeah, you sound crazy. Let's see. Many sightings and abnormally large various hounds. The hellhounds or giant black dogs is a big one in the Bridgewater Triangle. Um, I've never witnessed a big black dog or anything like that. I've run into coyotes and even seen some really big prints from dogs, but it could just be pets or anything like that. Um, Bridgewater Triangle, obviously my favorite area. I grew up there, so this is the place I know the most about. Um, and I didn't. I think maybe, yeah, the past like 10 years I've been researching Bridgewater Triangle, and the amount of stories and history there it is equivalent to Mothman prophecy, like that Point Pleasant. It's equivalent to Bermuda Triangle, the Alaska Triangle, or Skinwalker Ranch. Um, and I think it does have to do with parts of the land, the Native Americans. Let's see. Various large hounds or hellhounds. The land surrounding the area is reputed to be cursed due to the revered object, the wampum belt, being lost during King Philip's War in 1675 to 1678. Now, King Philip's War, I've been to Anawan Rock. I've went and seen where King Philip got captured, which King Philip's actually the Native American chief, Anawan, um, or Metacomet. There, that might have been his son. I can't remember everything off the top of my head, but I do know a lot about the Wampum Belt and the cursed land from the Wampanoags. This was the beginning of our country, so it's just one of those conflicts, one of the bloodiest in the United States. The conflict between the colonists and their indigenous allies, the Wampanoags. The Wampanoags told tale of folklore-type creatures named the Pugwudgies, who made the area their home. These porcupine-backed goblins often lure humans into the forest to meet an unfortunate end. You might spot one in Freetown Fall River State Forest or in the surrounding woods near any part of the Bridgewater Triangle. And outside, too. This triangle they've found it's ever growing because it's not just a triangle anymore. It goes into Connecticut, Rhode Island. It spreads, and I do think it does have something to do with some of the land. I mean, you got to realize Lizzie Borden's house. Then you have like Salem, and the witch trials all right near there. Then you have another, the Bennington Triangle in Vermont is like right there. There's so much to just this one story, and this is a short thing on Bridgewater Triangle, but I found it great that it was in a magazine of coast to coast haunted history. And let's see, the Fall River State Forest. Now I've only been there like twice, and yeah, I don't want to go back there at night. The Fall River State Forest, the site of numerous murders, reported satanic cults, including animal sacrifices and misfortunes for people. Uh, near Lake near the Lake Nipponicket in the Hockomock Swamp, Wampanoag for where the spirits dwell. Hockomock Swamp means where the spirits dwell or the spooky stuff happens. They didn't. This land was like I can't wait to go back up and just go around in the woods and some of the abandoned places and stuff. The Witch's Tree, I'm definitely getting to, but nipping the nip, that's what we call it when we're in Massachusetts. The nip is dangerous. A lot of people passed away, but those satanic cults in the Fall River State Forest, people have been found either killed out there or animal sacrifices like 40, 50 calves, cows, cats, dogs, satanic symbolism. That it was part of the satanic panic stuff. Um, and then there was a murderer out there killing people. Let's see what it says, if it says any of that. Colonial settler, I will bird you. He only does this when I'm doing a live. I'm gonna have to get Bert. Come here, Bert. Oh, you be nice. I, I wrote. I can't talk with DJ. Bye, Bert. I can't talk with those. um, what's up, Pop? How we doing, Adrian? What's going on? Uh, Triangles like pyramids, global. Yeah. These things, there are many triangles. Bermuda Triangle being the most famous, but like I was saying, Triangle, the Alaskan Triangle, the Golden Triangle, the Emerald Triangle. Ooh. There's a lot of different triangles of weird crap. Um, Colonial settlers dubbed the vegetated freshwater wetlands Devil's Swamp. Many men disappeared into sinkholes, seemed to be following lights into the woods. Those are the pugwudgies. So you probably heard me talk about this before if you watch my channel at all, but I mean, hometown stuff, I know the most about Bridgewater Triangle, and it's my favorite, but paranormal vortexes seem to be rife in supernatural activity from phantom fires and spook lights. These woods and swamps and roaming specters, indigenous cryptids like thunderbirds, which I've had an experience with a thunderbird. I was probably like 9 or 10. My grandmother's house, East Bridgewater, pull into the driveway, and I get out of the car and I see this, the whole lawn, her front lawn, just a big shadow go past it. I look up, and it's probably a 15, 20-foot wingspan bird, like brown, maybe a little bit of white, and just flew right over us. The first thing I saw was the shadow. My grandmother saw the shadow, looked up, didn't see the bird, it was already gone, but said calm down because I started crying, saying that giant bird is going to get us. As like a little 9-year-old, yeah. Now, was it a giant crane or like an eagle or a hawk? It could have been, but It seemed too big. I remember it very clearly. Then 2016, 2017 or something, my wife told me about her Thunderbird story, where behind her house in Middleborough, this is near Oliver Mill, Oliver House, if you've never heard of that one, it's a haunted house. There's an abandoned bridge out in the woods, and she saw something go crashing through the tree branches and big enough to like knock big tree branches down and stuff. So I wasn't the only person. There's other people. My buddy Harry, he does Bridgewater Paranormal Investigators up in Massachusetts. That's his YouTube channel, and Harry has witnessed what he said was a giant thunderbird when he was younger. And he does paranormal investigations all over the Bridgewater Triangle and stuff. He does a very good job. He even wrote like a whole story on my spook light experience out in the abandoned railroad tracks, which was a very cool one because he knew the story from other states, but this one is the railroad worker got run over by the train, lost his head, and walks the tracks with his lantern looking for his head. What's up, Michael? No, all good. I just did this randomly. Cheers. I found I was reading through my magazine and I found some Bridgewater Triangle. Figure I'm going up there next week. I'm gonna be doing some exploring. Gonna do some woods, do some the witch's tree, which is really crazy spot. Last time I was there, lightning strikes and all that. Where was I? Lizzie Borden's house. Oh, Thunderbird, gigantic pterodactyl-like birds, or even a Bigfoot. Now, the next thing on this page is the hunt for Bigfoot, and I think it does show that they did go hunting for Bigfoot in the Bridgewater Triangle. There was a team for a few years, and evidence, footprints, even hair samples, things of Bigfoot. Now, I've heard what sounded like a monkey out there. One of my first investigations, I went out with four people, and we all heard what sounded like a monkey. I even say like, "Oh, it's an owl," but something was weird about it. It didn't seem like an owl. It seemed much bigger and closer than we expected. There was other things the same night was the spook light on the railroad tracks. Railroad worker lost his head and walks the tracks with a lantern. Well, we walked like a mile and a half, 2 miles up the railroad tracks, and these are abandoned, so it's just woods. And we see a light up ahead, and we're all like, "Oh, it's our base camp where we have some chairs set up, and there's what's called the crossroads, the high power lines." And thinking maybe our friend had a flashlight on and we were getting close. We weren't even close. We were still like 3/4 of a mile from him. There's no way we would have seen his flashlight. These railroad tracks aren't exactly straight and the woods are overgrown. So, well, we thought somebody was coming with a flashlight. You could see the light in the video, and that's just a spook light. I've seen that 5 or 6 times since I was a little kid growing up there. These things aren't just myth. When you witness it, it's not something normal. It's not ball lightning. I don't like that excuse. Things don't just sit there, like then float up 20 feet in the trees and go between trees. Ball lightning would probably just be moving through, and you might see it during a lightning storm. But ball lightning, these orbs that are baseball or basketball size floating through the woods, that it's not ball lightning. These are beyond explanation. I've seen it a bunch. Let's see. Lizzie Borden's house is in the area. See page 84. Lizzie Borden is located within the Bridgewater Triangle, as is the Taunton State Hospital. So this one I have. It used to be called Paul A. Dever, but Taunton State Hospital, a psychiatric institution that performed many questionable experiments on patients and supposedly conducted satanic rituals. So it was when I went. This was 17, 18. I was young, but went 7 of us, and It was, 9:30, 10 at night, getting close to Halloween. We walked through 2, 3 miles of tunnels underground. There's 13 buildings sitting there still. Originally, there was like 23. But before that, it was a war encampment for the military and army and stuff. And before that, it was a Native American area for like settlement. There was lots of history on this land before the school for the mentally disabled was put in. But they, of course, overloaded the school. Lots of deaths, tunnels, underground tunnels. It wasn't a good place when the school was running for the psychiatric wards and stuff. Um, that was my first shadow person experience with 7 other people witnessing it with me. So we all watched him run across a field. You could see the grass move, then into a brick wall. We all went and looked for him for like 30 minutes. Eventually, we did start to leave, and security showed up, and we had to actually hide and leave. I've seen spook lights in the woods by my campsite. One blue and one yellow. They were hovering above the holler and they built my campsite. What's a holler? Not exactly a clearing. It's a dip in the mountains, and usually it's just woods, or it could be cleared out, and people live in the hollers. Yeah, it's just any between two hillside spots, and there's a big, like runoff. Or Mike would know very well what the hollers are. I want to get out in the woods here. Shenandoah Valley, Luray Caverns, some of the world's biggest caves. The world's oldest musical cave is another one that's over there in Shenandoah Valley, Virginia. I can't wait. I'm going to be doing a bunch of stuff. Cheers. I got to go get another one in a second. Yeah, 96 degrees. I'm not going to play out here in the freaking heat right now. So Lizzie Borden's house, also the Taunton State Hospital Psychiatric Institution, supposedly conducted satanic rituals in the basement, which is where we walked around. I have a 2-hour tape. I had old high eight, like regular film camera. So high eight would be like, just a regular camcorder. I got to get those tapes. When I go up there, I'm going to talk to my sister about her Ouija board session and catching Native American drumming and chanting, and then we're going to look at the 2 hours or so of the Paul A. Dever or the Taunton State Hospital underground. It's an full explore. My camera died right before we caught the saw the shadow person. My camera was the last light we had, so we had to leave. What's up, Nocturnalist Freakers? Hey, Steve. Thanks for coming. Yeah, Pomp's over in England, so I'm sure they have hollers, but they're not called hollers. It's probably Badger, Badger country. So satanic rituals may have been conducted in the basements. We did see some pentagrams underground and stuff. There was a lot of stuff still left behind down there and stuff. It's like 2 or 3 miles of tunnels. Lots of weird small areas of crawl spaces and stuff. It's not very fun. It was fun to go explore when I was younger, but if I could go back there, I would. But now it is old folks' homes, and yeah, let's just say the old folks are complaining of hauntings and weird shit going on because you build on top of an old insane asylum that's haunted. Those buildings and stuff, they even reuse some of the buildings that were previously haunted. Anthony Santano, who killed 2 of his cousins. Oh, I missed a piece. Let's see. Markings can be seen. Yeah, I saw some. The hospital also treated at least 2 murderers. Anthony Santo, who killed 2 of his cousins and a 6-year-old girl. Uh, and Jolly Jane Toppin. Uh, Jolly Jane, that's a big one I heard about when I was growing up. A psychotic nurse who was a prolific serial killer admitted that she was in her erotic thrill from holding her victims while they died. Unsurprisingly, the hospital was a hotbed of paranormal activity. Now, Jolly Jane was a nurse, would go give people overdoses and just sit there and watch them die. She did that a lot, and that was I don't know how many altogether, but it doesn't say in here. But I remember hearing that story. Unsurprisingly, the hospital is a hotbed for paranormal activity. In Rehoboth, the historic one-room schoolhouse, Horbein School, built in 1862, now functions as a museum, but it also has a fair share of ghostly activities. So Horbein School, 1862. There is another school that is even older in Dighton. Hi, buddy. My kid just woke up. What's up? I give this kid a bottle and I'll finish reading this to you. Hi. You okay? Oh. So, Horbein School I've heard of, but there is another school. It's a one school schoolhouse, and people have reported, you know, walking up, seeing a teacher and kids dressed in old attire, and then disappearing. That's in Dighton. And if you don't know about the Dighton Rock mystery, check that out. Um, Petroglyphs carved into a rock that are so old and we can't read them. They don't know if it was Native Americans or the Polish or Spanish or even Viking. They don't know. But it's a mystery stone. And I've been there, but I didn't get to see the stone. So maybe I'll try and do that. Dighton Rock is a big one for me that I definitely love. So, fair share of ghostly activity on Route 44, the haunted red-headed flannel-clad hitchhiker. So the red-headed hitchhiker, my sister-in-law Spectral Whispers has actually seen him standing on the side of the road. It's just a ghost in a plaid flannel shirt with a red beard, and he's hitchhiking. Even said to jump into people's cars, and people have witnessed them for years. Hi, buddy. So, red-headed hitchhiker in the Bridgewater Triangle is a big one. Over in Bridgewater itself, the state university is also be to be rumored to be riddled with ghosts. Woodward Hall. Woodward Hall, there's an elevator and there's a ghost on the elevator. There's some stuff like that. I know that college. I lived near there for a little while too, and a lot of paranormal weird stuff. I mean, it's Bridgewater. So, yeah, I'm sure it's on some Native American land or graveyard. It's built on a graveyard. Yeah, several states have the hitchhiker, Lady in White, the railroad track worker. There's always that one. Spook lights go all throughout the country too, but I do believe in those because I've seen them more than once. You stink. I think this one stinks. You stink. You know that? You want to say hi? Ah! You stink. You definitely, we need to change this kid. I wonder what riddled with ghosts looks like. Yeah, if you really want to get freaked out, like some of the areas in the woods of Bridgewater Triangle, I can tell you right now, if you just go out there and sit there for 10 minutes, probably going to, you're going to have a cold breeze go through you, you're going to hear something, you're going to see something. Um, it's just, I did it for so long and having so many experiences, like, yeah, it wouldn't happen every time. But most of the time, if you go into those woods or the swamps in the Hockomock Swamp, where the spirits dwell, and it is a messed up, like, Oh, random animal I could never describe just made a weird noise. I had a cold breeze go through me. All of a sudden, there's a spook light out in the woods. This one needs a diaper.
I know he does.
Will you grab me a beer
No.
after you help him?
Yeah.
So,
Oh, goodness.
hey there, Eric. No, I don't know. I have the guaranteed 100% proof warrant the cost. Um, these these things I've experienced, I can't explain. It's not usually videotaped or anything like that. I've had hundreds of experiences and with other people. It's not just me. I hope when I go to the witch's tree, I get some more experiences and not just lightning. Turns out we may very well have wolves, but they are the first time I have ever heard one that the other day. So we did reintroduce wolves into Yellowstone, and they spread across. Reintroducing the wolves was a good thing because we have too many pest animals in the United States. But
He's an achy butt.
you're naked. You gotta get a diaper. He loves when I do this. I'm not gonna be going much longer anyway.
Achy butt.
Naked. I figure I might read another story. There's some other cool ones in here. But Bridgewater Triangle, my favorite. That and Maine, my favorite state. But yeah, if you might have heard an actual wolf. I don't know how far the wolves have actually spread out, but it's been a long time since I looked that up. I try and look into everything from cryptids, the new animals coming out. I know the dodo is coming back. They're going to bring that back. They already brought back some dire wolves, the woolly mammoth. Probably by 2030, we'll have woolly mammoth. I wouldn't mind having a dodo check out a dodo. That'd be cool. An extinct animal. They might bring back the thylacine, which is like the stripy tiger dog thing. Oh, you coming back? So here's another story. Now this one has to do with the treasure, and if you've been watching my videos, I do have to talk about the treasure. But this one's not too far from me here in Virginia. It has Edgar Allan Poe, and it's called the Beale Cipher. When codes might lead to riches, they have a habit of gaining lots of attention. You gonna destroy my stuff? Here. Crazy. Yeah. So the Beale treasure is the next one I'll read. This is just a knife I carved. I don't know how many times I've showed it, but I'm gonna make some more of these. This is a really cool wooden blade. You got milk all over your face. You gotta put the milk away. Yeah.
Hello. There's only two people. That's a lot.
If it wasn't an actual wolf, it was my neighbors from Utah transforming into redneck werewolves. The dog man's always been interesting to me. But I do have a treasure that I've buried, and I haven't given any clues or anything about it. It is in Virginia, I'll say that. But the Beale Cipher, I'm gonna read this one. It's short, but this one's in Bedford County, Virginia. The supposed location, or where the treasure trove may be, Bedford County. It's hardly surprising that a three-coded text purporting to reveal the location of gold and silver and jewels around $40 million would pique the interest of a few. The story apparently dates back to the 1820s when Thomas J. Beale discovered a cache of loot in Spanish New Mexico. He's said to have composed three ciphers. Then he first pinpointed where the hidden treasure, and the second itemizing of the contents, the third explaining which would help find it. Ensuing their descendants would receive a cut, Beale entrusted the locked box containing the ciphers to a tavern owner, Robert Morris, in Virginia. He instructed him to only open it after 10 years. He did in return. Morris actually waited 23 years before opening it and had no luck. He could not decipher the codes and eventually gave the papers to a friend in the 1860s. The friend, whose name has never been revealed, spent years trying to decipher Beale's numerical codes and actually succeeded by decoding the second one. The decipher of the hoard was solved and straightforward. Substitutions for the cipher: if you take a number in the paper and pick a copy of the Declaration of Independence, you're in business. Select number 73 in the text, for example, then look at the 73rd word in the Declaration of Independence and the letter that word begins with, in the case H, and he cracked this code. Unfortunately, he had no such luck deciphering the other two codes. In 1885, he made a letter of cipher to the public in pamphlets entitled The Beale Papers, which was published by another of James B. Ward, friend. Thanks, son.
I'm gonna go send myself all these
Okay.
champagne.
Well, I'm going to finish this and then I'll probably end this.
Well, he's quiet right now and entertained, so.
I am just having fun pretty much talking to myself. Cheers.
So much foam. Is there even beer in that?
I was trying to get some foam, but not that much.
The fuck?
I gotta let it sit. Let's see, where was I? Unfortunately, he had no success in deciphering the other two codes. 1885, he made the letters and ciphers public. Curiosity has run riot ever since. Opinion is divided. Some historians see it as a hoax, but perhaps the pamphlet containing the papers was just a scam designed to make money from the sale of the ciphers. Disappointingly, some of the phrases do not quite fit with the language used by Beale allegedly writing those papers, which adds to the doubts of their authenticity, but through possible that some of these are actually real phrases. The seemingly unusual phrases may have been of verbal usage, and if not recorded in a print, that it was connection to the man who published the papers. Did Beale really exist? This is the stash of $40 million in gold and silver and jewels really out there? This looks like it's only a couple hours from my house. Maybe I'll go metal detect over in Bedford County, where this thing. There's a little X on the map here. I 40 million in gold and silver. Let's see. Was it all a concoction of one man who published some papers? Did Beale really exist? Was the stash out there? It'd be quite the find. 2,921 pounds of gold. Do you guys know what gold is an ounce right now? I think it's $5,000 almost. 4,300, 4,100. It's an ounce. This is 2,921 pounds. You'd be a billionaire. Uh, 5,100 pounds of silver, plus all the jewels. Wild theories suggested that Edgar Allan Poe may have left a few clues behind, but the timeline don't match up very well. Still, if you're ever in Bedford County, Virginia, the supposed location of the treasure, it might be worth buying a shovel and then better perhaps to follow the advice of the pamphlet. Devote only such time as can be spent from your legitimate business to the task, and if you can spare no time, let that matter alone. Despite any evidence, Edgar Allan Poe is sometimes associated with the Beale ciphers. Uh, Maybe if one cipher was for the Declaration of Independence, maybe Edgar Allan Poe did write some poems, or I mean, he has a lot of weird. Poe has like literature that people don't read. There's the scary stories and all that in the poems, but I do wonder now what if they're saying, because Edgar Allan Poe is also locked up in Fort Monroe, which is right down the street from me. So he was here for a few years, and he probably would be having a beer with me. So the Beale ciphers. What do you guys think about a coded index? I can get the ciphers. I've already looked it up. Um, what if I did my own treasure hunt? I will be talking about my own treasure that I buried more, but probably not till I come back from Massachusetts, since I'm going to the Bridgewater Triangle, and that's next week. So maybe 2 weeks, I'll start to maybe put out some clues about my own treasure. Um, I have a bunch of locations coming up too that may be hints to where I am burying my treasure. I'd say the treasure I'm putting into the ground is actually probably about $1,000, $2,000 worth of just stuff, and I can't show it again, but if you go into my older videos, you'll probably see some of the treasure. I even went to a coin shop yesterday and checked some prices for coins and stuff. I got a good amount of money, and it wasn't exactly what everything was worth, but you also got to think they got to make money too. Cheers, everyone. So I have one more I'm going to read here, and maybe later tonight. I don't know if it's going to stop being 96. Once it goes down to like 85, I'll probably go out. So it might be like 10 o'clock tonight. Probably just going to go over to the beach and do a sky watch and hang out for a little bit. I might bring some equipment. We'll see. Maybe REM pod and some of my manually operated devices. Um, this was the other one I was going to read. Might as well. It's not that long. Well, let's see what you guys are saying. There's not too many people here, obviously, but happy Thursday, you guys. Thank you for coming. Yeah, I want to go hunt some treasure. I also want to go find some shark teeth. So I've been doing more metal detecting and stuff. Oh, maybe I should go get that. I'll show you guys. It's an old chunk of iron that I found. I think it's off an old shipwreck or something. I cleaned it all up, and it is. So what happens to objects when they're in sediment like that for a long time? It was very silver when I first found it, but now it's just a chunk of iron rust. I got all the black concrete stuff off of it, and I can tell it's that old because of how concentrated the piece of iron was coated. But I'll go grab it and show you. What are you doing?
I'm riding my bike in the house.
Don't riding your scooter in the house.
There are love bikes in the house. So look. You guys look.
No scootering in the house.
Can I show them my move?
No. You gotta take that outside. Alright, so the other day this looked silver. Now look at it. I've cleaned it up a lot more. It does seem to be like a gun barrel, but it seems too heavy. So I'm thinking this was part of a ship.
I just
It might have been a piece of a sword or something that somebody was blacksmithing or working. But you can see how rusty it is now. When I first found it, it was silver. Like clean iron. But once you take these out of the water, and it's old because it was completely covered. But still really cool find. I know it's old as hell. Probably, I'm going to go 1800s. I'm not sure. But the way it was encased, still cool to find stuff like that. So next one, I think I'm going to go up the Chesapeake Bay and the James River. Out of here. Stop scootering now. Bring that outside.
no.
I don't want to yell at you. You're gonna have to yell at this kid. No scootering in the house. But yeah, fun to go metal detecting. Does seem like it, because of the channel in there, it might have been an old musket barrel or a piece of it, and then it does look worked. That's the other part with all these dents. And like you could see it was smithed iron from something. So just a cool find. I'll be doing more metal detecting, magnet fishing, and that stuff. Yeah, Mike, it will be coming out slowly. I haven't really given any clues. I just said I buried the treasure, which it's more cool stuff than money value, but there is actual money in there. Steel pennies from 1943. So during the war, they made steel pennies because they needed the other uh, money, and those can be worth a lot of money. I didn't take the time to grade them and have them actually like graded or marked, but I just booked Robert Earl White, A Paranormal Unearthed for this month. Nice, dude. I'll read this last story, and this one's one of my favorite stories. I actually had a weird Massachusetts book or weird East Coast book, because this one is in Florida. But if you've never heard of Coral Castle, this one's amazing. Built to mend a broken heart, does Florida's Coral Castle contain mystical secrets that have never been decoded? The monument and the structure of the Coral Castle were built by one man without help and without machinery. He never revealed the secrets of his methods. Now, people did capture him using tripods to build this, like a box on top of a little pyramid and winches and pulleys. But he had a swinging door that's like 2 tons. Here he is right there. Very cool story if you've never heard this one. When 26-year-old Edward Lee Slatkin arrived in the USA, his native Latvia, just before World War I. The future looked bleak. He had been rejected by his fiancée, and all the suffering from his turbulent adventures and a terminal disease, and he believed that his days were numbered. Lead Scalnin traveled to Florida, where he began to work on a castle. He desperately chose a remote area to ensue his privacy, but civilization began to move in closer, where he purchased a new parcel of land and began the laborious process. So what they don't tell you about that is it's on ley lines. He perfectly picked a spot that is on like certain ley lines, the type of coral that he was using to build this stuff. If you don't know about ley lines and stuff, Bridgewater Triangle's on some ley lines. For He began laborious process in moving the original structure to continue his work in what became Coral Castle. For nearly 30 years, Latskin worked on the solitude and refusing anyone to watch him while he worked, but allowing visitors to view the castle for a small donation. The castle is a masterpiece constructed and actually made out of oolite, a sedimentary rock. Remarkably, the stones are held together without any bonding agents, and their weight is precision placement for it keeps the Coral Castle standing. As Coral Castle grew, visitors became ever more desperate to learn how one slightly built man had achieved such a feat. No heavy machinery was used. Still one of my favorite stories. Latskin told them simply that he was an easy when he knew how, or even tested that he had learned the secrets of the pyramids and how the builders of the pyramids worked. He refused to give anything else. Other than the tantalizing suggesting that he enjoyed perpetual motion, and an interest grew in legends. Legends began to spring up around the eccentric builder, including one that was able to move the enormous blocks of coral through as they were weightless. So he might have had those right frequencies to be able to float stone, like the Egyptians probably did. I am still a subscriber to if you make the correct frequency and vibration in a rock, you could split it, you could make it float. I've talked about it a few times. Latkin also understood the value of self promotion and declared that the magnetic properties of the castle had cured his terminal illness. He died in 1951, but Coral Castle is a monument to his life, and visitors still seek out the site to this day and answers to how he was able to move the vast blocks into place. Such precision and myths have sprung up, including the belief that he was able to do so by the means of telekinesis. I don't think so. The myths have sprung up for telekinesis. He also was able to do so by singing to the stones, while still other theories posit that the Latskin had somehow harnessed the power of the earth itself, drawing energy from ley lines that allowed him to move the blocks with ease. Yet, whether it was mathematics or magnetism or the Coral Castle is still a tantalizing mystery waiting to be solved. Perhaps Latskin also left behind a logic puzzle, but maybe the spell book, whatever the answer, revealed the solution to Coral Castle's mysterious construction has yet to be discovered. Oh, so that gate is 9 tons, not two. It's 9 tons, and that door swings with one finger. How he did that, I'm not sure, but it's a masterpiece of positioning and precision engineering. There is no gate like this in the United States other than the Coral Castle. Now, most places I plan on going to, that's definitely one. The one in Virginia looking for that treasure, the Beals ciphers, I'm not so sure if I'll get to that, but it'd be cool to go check out. And then next week, Bridgewater Triangle. So, you guys have a great day. And stay spooky. Alright, peace out, everybody. Have a good day. Bye bye.